I hear a lot of people say these days that they have no doubt that their pain or their symptom is a mind-body condition, or TMS, as some of you know it. That said, they say they're still unable to overcome the pain, even though that they have no doubt that it's a mind-body condition. In this video, I'm going to be discussing ways in which you can energize this belief in mind-body syndrome in order to heal yourself and your pain faster. And I'm also going to be discussing whether or not you need extra work in order to have a complete recovery. So let's get started. When Dr. John Sarno started to see patients and started to give lectures about the mind-body connection, a lot of his patients would heal very, very fast. When he published his best-selling books, some people had what we call book cures. They read the book, they realized that their condition was simply a case of mind-body syndrome or TMS, and they instantly or almost instantly felt better. This sounds almost miraculous, but what really happens when you have a book cure is that somehow you resonate with what's being said and you realize that your body is not ill or damaged in the way that you thought it was, but is actually okay, that the pain is just mind-body pain, that it's harmless, and that you can get better. This realization can give some people so much empowerment, so much renewed hope that feels so good that the tension would dissipate and they would feel better almost immediately. As they start to feel their symptoms fade away, they get even more positive, even more trusting of their bodies, and therefore they have a very swift recovery. This, we can say, was the case with me. Once I learned about TMS, it took me 6 weeks to get back to all the physical activity that I wanted to, including rock climbing, including eventually getting back to climbing very overhanging stuff using the shoulder that I had thought was permanently damaged. However, not everyone has this miraculous sounding book cure, and there are various reasons for that. First of all, some people might be living in so much emotional distress in their lives due to a specific personal situation or due to some harrowing experience that might have happened in the past years that they are too dysregulated, and it is harder for these individuals to build the confidence in their body and to feel safe as fast as others. That is totally okay. In that case, it's always recommended anyway to have a look at your stressors and to try and resolve any situation that feels like a threat to you. Any stressor that feels like it's too much weight or pressure on you. It's part of the work. You can do that with a therapist. You can also do that with a TMS practitioner and explore some options with a TMS practitioner. But as I said, it's very difficult if you're either in a really toxic situation or you have had a very significant trauma or multiple things, multiple negative experiences happening in a short time span. You might need a little bit longer for your system to calm down enough and for the tension in your body to dissipate enough. However, the focus on this video is going to be more on how you can energize this belief that your symptoms are just TMS in order to have a faster cure. What I notice in a lot of individuals who don't recover fast, but who say they have no doubt that their symptoms are TMS, is that typically there is still some doubt playing into the experience. It is not enough to say that you do not have any doubt that your symptoms are mind-body. Even doubt itself may not even be the right word. The right word might be trust, having trust that you can be okay. For those of you who are spiritual, having faith that your body is going to be okay. It's a feeling, it's a knowing. It's not easy to cultivate, but sometimes reading the right kind of insight, like a lot of people did from Sarno's book, and really believing that your symptoms are not as dangerous as you thought or experiment as you thought, can initiate this feeling of trusting your body more, of trusting that you can recover. So how do we cultivate this feeling of trust, this feeling of knowing that we're going to be okay? I'm going to be mentioning two things that I've noticed working for people and for myself. One of them is that it's very difficult to cultivate this positive sense of trust if you are living a severely limited life, if you're disconnected from the world, and if you've stopped everything because of chronic pain. If you're shut up inside your house, if you're not willing to start re-engaging with the world bit by bit, maybe doing a few things or pursuing a few hobbies that you like, it's going to be very difficult, because when we spend a long time being isolated with our own thoughts, it is very hard to stop negative thinking patterns, because we have nothing else to immerse ourselves in. So a lot of people agree that healing can't happen until you start re-engaging in life, until you start creating certain positive moments with the people around you, with the world around you. Doesn't matter how it looks like, but there has to be some sort of resumption, right? You can't do it from a state of total isolation, or rather, it's very difficult to do. The other way is that you can energize the belief that is TMS through your action. You can energize this with the things that you say to yourself and with the things that you do. It's not enough to say that you don't have any doubt that your symptoms are mind-body, but at the same time to feel extremely sorry for yourself because you can't overcome them. Or the very common story is, I have no doubt that my symptoms are TMS, but they haven't changed and I feel so helpless, etc., etc. Very likely, if you still feel this way, there is still doubt. At least there is doubt in yourself, in your own ability to overcome this. There isn't enough faith, as we call it. And I know it's extremely difficult to suddenly be more hopeful and confident, right? But you can start energizing this belief through the actions that you take in your day-to-day life. You can watch, for example, the way that you are approaching things. Are you exercising too much caution when you're doing something? Are you overprotecting your body? Because if you say you have no doubt that your symptoms are TMS, but you're constantly overprotecting your body, you're constantly avoiding X, Y, and Z, then actually there is doubt. There is mistrust in the body. So whatever we say has to be matched in our actions and in our feelings. One other strategy is to say something to yourself when you're feeling shaky, when you're feeling that things are not working, when you're starting to have negative thoughts about being in pain or having a flare-up. You need to start being extremely firm with yourself in these moments and tell yourself why this does not need to happen each and every time. You need to tell yourself why this is different. You need to tell yourself that you know what's going on now. You know why the pain is there. You know it's mind-body. So you are going to be more firm with yourself. Your affirmations need to be extremely strong to counter that shakiness, that doubtful, shaky voice inside. How you say something to yourself, how you interrupt these negative thought patterns is crucial to your recovery. Unfortunately, simple positive affirmations that have no strength, no energy behind them, these do not work. And if you really want to check out whether your affirmations are working or not, here's a trick. I would suggest that you record yourself saying these affirmations and you listen to your recording. You might notice that your voice sounds unconvinced and shaky. I would encourage you to keep on practicing and re-recording yourself until you can come up with that extremely strong voice, that firm, convincing tone that you would use if someone told you that the earth is flat and you're absolutely sure it's not flat and you're there to tell him or her that it isn't. Right? So it's just a funny analogy here, but it's just to show you how strong and convincing you need to sound with yourself. And this is what I mean by energizing your belief that you can recover. It takes practice and it takes self-awareness to know, to catch these sneaky voices inside, or to catch these insecurities that are going on in our day-to-day lives, these negative beliefs, but it can be done. And it's easier if you are already re-engaging in life. Typically, a lot of people tell me that there was a point when they were just doing something else, they were distracted, they were not too focused on their pain, and suddenly they realized that their body was okay. They finally downloaded, and they could feel that they downloaded this idea that their body was gonna be okay. This didn't happen when they were alone at home, indulging in their victim stories, feeling sorry for themselves. It happened as they started re-engaging in life, as they started to open up a little bit, to consider new possibilities and opportunities, to participate in society or whatever you'd like to participate in. So it makes it easier if you are already working on resuming the lifestyle you'd like to resume bit by bit. It makes it easier to gain this confidence in yourself. And I would encourage you not to wait for the pain to go away before you start this re-engagement, because it typically does not work. And in case you're feeling a little bit at a loss, or you are starting to wonder whether you can ever do this, I'm here to tell you that although I did recover pretty fast from my initial symptoms, I had other symptoms later on in my life which took me much longer. One of them was elbow pain, tendonitis pain, and I'm telling you, at first I knew it was kind of TMS, but at the same time I was still doubting whether I had hurt or injured my elbow. And there was one specific day when I was actually out and about. We were busy visiting a person in hospital, and that's when I suddenly realized, I felt that my elbow was going to be okay. And this happened because I had noticed a major inconsistency in my elbow that day. It had hurt terribly after sneezing that morning. But when we visited this person in hospital, the pain had totally gone away. And that's when I realized that my symptom was a mind-body issue. That was the moment when I felt sure. It had been already 4 months and I had been making almost no progress. But once I reached that moment and I affirmed to myself and I said like, yes, I know what this is now. You see, I brought this energy into it and I said, no, I will never buy into that fear of my elbow being injured anymore. Once I said that firmly and I knew it, then the pain resolved in a couple of days. So don't give up. This moment might take place for you pretty soon. The important thing is to be open to the possibility and to start being a little bit firmer with whatever you're saying to yourself about your symptoms. What you think matters. It matters a lot because your subconscious brain will absorb whatever you feel might be true. So if you are completely convinced that your body will get better, that's what your subconscious mind will absorb, and that's what will happen. I hope that I've given you something to reflect about today, and that's all from me for today. I'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.